Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I've got another of my interviews with executives of junior mining companies. In this case, it's one of my sponsors. Before we get started, I'll deal with the disclaimer in that this is for information purposes only. This is not investment advice. In order for you to make those kind of decisions, you have to talk to your financial advisors about the suitability of the company for you and do your homework. And so, Patrick, thanks a lot for joining us.
Oh, as always, thank you for inviting us.
I like your picture there with all that massive sulphide.
Hey, it's one of my favorite pictures I have.
Well,
it's pretty spectacular. It's pretty spectacular.
One of the best mining camps in the world for massive sulphides, and you guys are out there a little junior finding new massive sulphide occurrences. That's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, we're very, very lucky to be in the Bathurst mining camp, world-class, third largest camp in the world, and with that history and that kind of geology. I mean, like I've said before many times, every 20 years or so, there's a technological breakthrough and there's a rash of new discoveries. And we believe we're at that junction right now with our proprietary EarthEX technology with reprocessing algorithms and filtering and their late time conductor analysis. And then also with our new partner, Windfall Geotech AI. So we're very, very excited.
So, well, the last time we haven't spoken for a little bit, but you've put out two news releases, one of them today, and it kind of goes back to what you're just saying about how there's been evolution of changes in camps that are important, but you're kind of, this 9 Mile Metals acquires the Wedge project, including the Wedge copper deposit project. This project comes with a resource, or it was mined in the past. It has a resource. It was discovered by Caminco in the 1957 and 58, and they were using some of that old technology. And along comes you guys using these expert systems to use big data to filter out the geophysical noise. So that was an important step, the geophysics coming into the camp. And now you guys are taking that a little bit further. But let's talk about this new acquisition and the one you announced. You forgot to come on my show.
Well, we just keep working, and
yeah.
We're pretty excited. Everything's a half a glass of water, right? So we're in the most complex part of the camp, but that's why the discoveries haven't been realized. But also, it's so complex, it's required something like this breakthrough in technology. But if you talk to a geologist like Gary or so on, they really get excited when you have the most complex plumbing out there. And you got to remember, there's
complex is good, my friend.
I'm telling you, 1% outcrop is 99% hidden, subsurface, is twisted, it's upside down, the footwall's above the hanging, all this, geophysical and geological issues to deal with. But I'm telling you, we believe we're in the sweet spot in the camp. We're in the mineralized folded zones in the saddle. And we're very excited to launch our Wedge VMS program. Yes, it starts with a resource. There is roughly about I think Miranda published in 1993, there's 545,200 tons still of a resource there.
Now that was done before current resource calculating methods, so it doesn't, you have to use it with a grain of salt or maybe a shaker of salt because it was done prior to NI 43-101. Got to get all that disclaimer out there. So, but you can use it to advance your efforts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, exploration, it's much more prospective if you're starting from an orphan program or you're starting from a deposit. And you know, this particular deposit was considered a copper deposit because it was really a copper with a little bit of lead, and a little bit of silver. So where's the rest of the mess?
And
You know,
zinc.
and I can put up and share an image, but there's the whole Wedge trend that has multiple targets on there, anomalies that have been filtered out by our analysis already. And you know, the tri-bag occurrence, the West Wedge, you know, and
By the way, if
sulphides in these.
you have ability to screen share if you want, Patrick.
Right. And then so if you look at the geology, you know, you've got the Wedge property right here. There's the Wedge deposit on a contact. You got the west edge or the tri-bag, you got the West Wedge, and then the lower 44 mile. This is our newly acquired claim as well, Three Corner Lake, and we've combined these as a project just so everybody knows it's the Wedge VMS. As you know, there's
So
canoe landing
that
deposit.
other one is the one you announced last week, where you also brought in another expert system company. Is that correct?
No, this is from today's.
Oh, okay, got you.
And then last week we announced Windfall Geotech AI, and then we acquired a claim on the southeast of 9 Mile Brook. So primarily, but just so you know the geology, this is canoe landing. This area is our canoe landing west, and all this is California Lake. So it's borders with us already. Here's your contact that goes through, and I'll share something else real quick that let's see.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so obviously you see this here, and you've got the Wedge on an anomaly, on a halo, on this trend. You got canoe here. You've got tri-bag on this, nothing there. And then this is something we're very excited about.
Wow.
And here, and you got the, you know, the parts between and here and here. So, you know, and this is that western part of California Lake. So you can see the underlying geology with some lines here, but you know, and I'm not a geologist, but we're very excited with the opportunity that we have on a neighboring project, because, you know, part of our philosophy is, you know, we always try to acquire
that geophysics,
quality assets, right? Quality assets for our portfolio and advanced shareholder valuation, sometimes through acquisition. But I like to call them fallen angels. So you know, when you start with an orphan project or a project that didn't have technology, we think we can enhance it. Or did they go deeper? Did they go along trend? Everything's related on this mineralized fold that they didn't know about in the past. So we're really super excited because it's into our regional footprint, right? This is right next door to California and canoe, and we're very quickly grabbing the saddle, the complex, because, you know, there's a bit of a roadmap there.
So that geophysics you just showed us had the benefit of EarthX doing their filtering to cut out some of the geophysical noise, like they did at California Lake, which resulted in the finding of new massive sulphide occurrences. And they've applied that to your ground that you just acquired.
So that we have our first stage analysis that we have, which is reprocessing public data, the megatam, the airborne, all the public information that's available, old EM, regional government information. You can see the quality of that. And that's what we did at California Lake as well. And then we based our first drill program over that without doing surface grids and so on. And I think, you know, part of this is we believe we're getting our roadmap here. And obviously that's a reprocessed imagery from EarthX on TDEM. So this is part of our process in our map system, right? So you can see that those backward looking deposits are where we expect them to be on the halo of certain nodes and anomalies and EMs. And that's kind of what they did in the 50s, right? That was when the Brunswick and everything was found, was either outcrop or really close to surface EM hits.
Right.
You know, but now it's more complex, it's deeper. And again, you know, we've got three targets on there that have sulphide work in the past. I mean, again, companies didn't have technology, they didn't drill deep enough, they didn't go along strike, they maybe drilled off soil anomalies as opposed to subsurface modeling, which wasn't available. You know, all the different things that are now here.
There's another thing that comes into the equation is that they also have to prioritize what they're doing based on their entire portfolio of projects and mines throughout wherever they're involved. So they could have extracted everything they thought that was the low-hanging fruit over here, and then they moved over there because they had more low-hanging fruit that was more profitable. So, you know, people sort of hear Caminco was in there and think that Caminco did everything they possibly could to understand everything about where they were. No, a lot of times it's just get as much money as you can out of this mine. We're going to build one over here that's going to make even more money.
I mean, yeah, you've probably heard thousands of stories. The seventh company on average, junior mining, has the big discovery, even though the companies before either had no results because they drilled and they didn't have the right footprint, or they ran out of money, or they're using different technology that didn't filter it, look at it a certain way, you know, and they didn't understand the evolution of the event. So again, till this technology came to filter out all the noise, I mean, people have been walking over this for 50 years, and we love starting from a proven asset or a proven occurrence, because then with our technology and algorithms and AI and so on, we can machine learn.
A lot of things happen.
Probabilities, right? And again, it's, you look at the western part of the wedge, it's kind of like the western part of California Lake. I mean, look at those anomalies that we filtered, and no one's ever drilled it, right? So, and you're seeing these patterns. So we're pretty excited. As always, if we do our job properly, I mean, obviously, we're do as much due diligence as we can and what's available before we put a drill bit in. But no, we're super excited, and there's a lot of good plumbing there, and I think we're with our partners in EarthX and Windfall, we're going to really have success out there.
So some of the highlights of your news release was that the Wedge deposit was mined by Caminco, produced 1.5 million tons, grading 2.88% copper, 0.65 lead, 1.81% zinc, and 20 grams of silver. It consists of 25 square kilometers, was discovered in 5758 using EM. You're going to use your proprietary new technology over the entire area to hopefully find some more. The Tribag West or Tribag and West Wedge occurrences have not been tested at depth and is open all directions along the trend. The Wedge project borders our California Lake and Canoe Landing Lake projects and solidifies our regional land portfolio. Lots of good information in there, Gary. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
Patrick,
it's and you know, obviously a proven deposit, or you know, you have the horizon or trend, and you've got mineralization. I mean, it's exactly what we want to explore with our UAV drone system and algorithms, and get that kind of close space 25-meter line kilometer and filter algorithm, subsurface 3D, just like we did on 9 Mile Brook. With this, you know, all of our projects deserve that, and we'll do our best to do it as timely as possible. It is expensive, but but it is groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking.
And Gary Lohman had a quote, and I'll quote him, and he said, "The wedge and adjacent occurrences are all associated with key geological units. The Nipisquet Falls and Spruce Lake." Okay, you say it. "And Spruce Lake formations, which host both VMS deposits and VMS mineralization in this portion of the Bathurst mining camp. With mineralization open at depth and along strike, the deposits in the complete land package will greatly benefit from advanced data acquisition and analysis," end quote.
Yeah.
Gary's got away with
very
words.
prioritized rock formations. One is the California Spruce Lake Formation, which is that orange that has, you know, the caribou and all the way comes down into the saddle.
And the contacts.
Yeah, and the Nipisquets is the yellow that's south of that. So that contact between the two is 5-star real estate, and that goes right through everything we have there. And on the east side, you know, the Brunswick Horizon, the Nipisquet is where the Brunswick 12 and 6 are. So they're integrated. But I think it's about a 10 million year difference. But you know, if you look at the pattern looking backwards and what's been discovered, you know, 46 deposits, of which 25 of them are over 1 million tons. That is the real estate. Those two formations and where the contacts are. Because they're and down in the saddle, you can see parallel folds, mineralized parallel folds. So we're learning a lot.
Well, for our non-geologists out there, why that's important, these contacts between rock packages, is because the fluids, the VMS, the volcanogenic massive sulphide, they follow those are like a path of least resistance through the rock that allows those massive sulfides to make their way closer to surface. Then what you want to do is, now you've done the geophysical work that also says you have coincident geophysical anomalies associated with those plumbing systems. And that's the recipe for making new massive sulfide occurrence discoveries.
I mean, you look at the patterns, right? They occurred for a reason. You recognize them. We have great support from the New Brunswick Department of Energy Mines and Jim Walker and his team on structural geology, and, you know, identifying the thrust faults and all the different things in there that have a bearing on where these deposits will gather, get trapped, etc. So, you know, we believe in the 9 Mile Simform at the saddle, and we're really super excited to attack this. I mean, we're going into March, then April, and we'll be right into a work program, right?
Well, and you know, your belief is based on reality, because that's where all the massive sulfide occurrences are in this camp. It's associated with those contacts of rock packages.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to know, you got backward looking and hopefully some probability and forecasting for forward looking. And that's where we brought in obviously our experts, EarthX and Windfall AI. So
that brings up another topic, which is last week, on 6 days ago, you announced 9 Mile Metals announces, oh no, that's not the one. Here's on the 9th, so a week ago exactly, you announced that 9 Mile Metals acquires West 9 Mile Brook project and engages artificial intelligence company Windfall Geotech. And so you got something exciting there to add to the story, Patrick.
Absolutely. I got, let me show you something here. I mean, obviously, this is our news release, but this map, I'll zoom in a bit here.
Okay, got it.
So this is 9 Mile. There's the lens. Here's the hinge,
Hey, my hinge.
and Allan's Hinge. There's Hinge B. There's the islands. You can just see them coming in here.
Right.
This is west. I don't know why it's called west. It's actually east, but
It's east of
whoever
your lens.
originally, yeah. And so if you look at, these are all mineral occurrences. Taylor Brook, several
Yeah.
million tons. And you can see on this node, you know what I mean? So you can start to see these trends. But look at this trend right through here. This is on our project, 9 Mile Brook already. You can see, you know, we identify A, B, and C. You know, obviously this hasn't been flown by the drone, and our process with EarthEX and the algorithms and defining and filtering. This is again just first pass, but you know, very perspective, and hopefully, you know, our roadmap is we're defining our process going forward, but there is all kinds of,
Actually, even in between, you know,
look at,
I
there's
spent
canoe, there's canoe landing there, almost
yeah,
30
right
million
on.
tons, and
Look at that.
it's on the halo, right? None of this is ever really in the middle of the high, except for small
Actually,
everything else is kind of on halos, and this is very interesting, obviously here, right? But this trend right up here, and you know, on both sides you have deposit slash major occurrences, and again, these deserve, all this stuff deserves another look and another analysis with new technology.
absolutely, absolutely, and
So this is that project that and it's going to be. We've grouped it in with 9 Mile Brook, obviously from a geographical standpoint.
it's interesting there that there's also some subtle anomalies there that could be quite important. I learned that trick in the diamond exploration business. It's sometimes not those booming geophysical anomalies that lead you. It's the subtle ones. And
Yeah,
you right beside.
Brook, little subtle. Canoe landing was transposed, you know, but you've got all this, like, you know, it's all been filtered out. All these nodes need to be investigated, right? All
That's
this.
what I'm getting at. Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times, like you said, it's the subtle ones off to the side, not the big monster trend.
What I'm talking about.
If you remember, you know, the Brunswick 12 even, and the Brunswick 6, the traditional Bathurst VMS deposit to date has been a node off a folded hinge or on the halo of a small footprint of about 500 meters across and up to 1 kilometer long. Anything bigger could be, you know, ideally a graphitic, a graphite trend. There's other things in there that, but normally it's a small, because remember, these are traditionally 60, 70, 80 degree vertical deposits. They're not horizontal. And so the surface footprint's very small because they're on its end, right? And these are massive.
And when they were using geophysics back in the day, that long decades ago, the resolution was pretty shallow. So you're looking for something that's not sticking out in a big way, and you're not getting good resolution to depth.
Yeah, I mean, and the big, you know, even the Brunswick, when they shut it down, the Brunswick 12, it was down, I think they were almost down a mile, and they didn't run out of ore from what, it was unsafe, you know. So these vertical deposits, I mean, geez, you can go down 1,000 meters and hit, and that's where this whole new chapter in the Bathurst mining camp is coming. We can drill deeper. We got geophysical tools and analysis that can see deeper, and we can filter out some of the noise that traditionally, you know, you mentioned it earlier about, you know, companies come in like Cominco or other companies or Noranda or whoever it was, and they do a 20-hole drill program and not hit anything, and they're doing 80-meter holes. They'd move on. They're not going to invest any more time, effort, money in that project when they have many, many other projects move on. It's really like a prospecting generation program. But yeah, I mean, if we can see down almost a kilometer with this
Wow.
high definition drones. So
Okay,
and
so
obviously filter out and look for that late time conductance charge, not early or mid. You know, what holds that charge longest, we believe, is the massive sulfides, not the epithermal and the precious metal that loses the charge very quickly because it's a vein system or it's flakes or whatever. But the big brick of VMS, we believe, is the late time conductors, the strongest conductor in those anomalies.
So we dealt with your couple news releases. Oh, by the way, you brought in another Windfall Geotech. Those guys are pretty experienced in this big data filtering with algorithm business. So they're going to be helping you guys as well with EarthX.
Yeah, and you know, people have asked us about the philosophy of bringing them in. Obviously, our philosophy is, like most people, you know, surround yourself with smarter people, right? So you bring in your experts and different perspectives, right? So EarthX and their team is phenomenal at what they do. They're experts at what they do. You got Windfall Geotech experts at what they do because they both have algorithms, and you're only as good as your own algorithm, and they're different, right? EarthX still has human intervention interpretation in their model. Windfall Geotech AI is strictly machine learning, and that's it. So there is no human opinion or interpretation. Now, what we're doing is going to give all the EarthX proprietary data that we've collected and own, put it into the reprocessing algorithm of Windfall, and see what their factory output is. And we also are also combining and looking at their targets when they're the same and when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And there's reasons for them, right? So
and then put Gary to work with the truth machine and figure out who is right and who is wrong.
Yeah, we could have some fun with this, but yeah, you know, so it complements. They're different technologies, obviously, with different algorithms. They are working together. This is groundbreaking, and I really believe we're putting together the best team that we can. And you know, we have multiple projects. We have a big footprint now for VMS projects, and we're going to obviously bring our A team to everything. So it's evolving. Even our crews. We've hired some more PGOs on site in New Brunswick, and a benefit from the Trevally situation, and we're pretty excited. It's like you know, it's always about improving yourself, self-reflecting, always keeping yourself accountable, and you know, we're improving our land position and the quality of our assets, and we're also you know, we are sensitive to overpaying and making sure it's right for our shareholders, and we're pretty darn excited on this.
So
I mean, when you have three projects in the same system with Canoe, California, and now the Wedge, and what are you, probably around 100 kilometers now,
right?
And you got multiple mineralized folds in there,
and a coincident geophysical anomalies.
Yeah, and new technology. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And I'm not the geologist.
Yeah, you're
I don't
just
want to put words in Gary's mouth, but yeah, they're always excited when they got the truth machine, right? So,
well, as a
we
spokesperson, you're learning about those rocks real quickly, Patrick.
Hey, we're trying to be experts ourselves, right? On our environment, our community, our land package, and it really is a jigsaw puzzle, right? Especially complex, and you know, we believe we as a team are kind of groundbreaking and taking a fresh look from a different perspective on a historic camp that the government believes 30%'s been found, 70% still not, and they truly believe, and they've quoted it, they believe there's something bigger out there than the Brunswick 12.
Wow.
So
That's 100 and some million tons of mine material.
produced tons,
Yeah.
335 million gross ore, and it wasn't finished. And
Wow.
10 kilometers away was the 6. And 10 kilometers away is this, and it's spatial. It's pretty exciting.
It's like
exciting.
a triangle
I
of
think,
triangle to
it's hard.
success.
Yeah, it's really hard. You're trying not to make too much of a splash and too much of a spotlight, because it brings other companies and it brings drives prices up for acquisitions and stuff like that, because your own success, so it's a balance. And but we totally believe the Brunswick camp is going to be reborn a little bit, and this technology and other companies will have success as we all evolve. But I'm pretty excited for Canada.
So what can you share with us about looking forward a little bit, Gary?
Well, well, obviously, during our winter hiatus and the drill rig, we brought in a skid mounted rig into 9 Mile that's enclosed and it can go deeper and so on. We just went through our corporate look back and our corporate forecasting for work projects this year. We're funded. We got 1.3 million in flow through, and obviously we're going to advance that valuation and capital return for our shareholders on our projects. But we did announce the drill rigs coming from Orbit, a world-class drilling company, and specialize on deep drilling, because the Hinge and 9 Mile Brook is deeper, right? So we've got it's a much bigger production. I'll give you a little small story. So Bathurst Manning Camp and that part of northern New Brunswick is known for snowmobile area and the trails and the logging roads and so on. That's fantastic. And they have their snowmobiles and they got 10 feet of snow, and that's great. That kind of impairs us a little bit, because not so much on a track mount rig and you go, but on a skid mount where a bulldozer's pulling a railroad container, it's been modified to be a drill rig, and you have the casing container and multiple railroad containers on skids. So they had the minus 47 degrees Celsius weather, unsafe. Number 2 was we got a bunch of snow. So the Highway 430 wasn't even plowed, and that responsibility is the city. Then you get out to the logging roads, and that's logging company's responsibility, and they're dirt roads / gravel. So it's got 4 feet of snow. We got to wait till that. You can't just pull in the dozer and off you go. You got to get that groomed, and then got to get the Snowmobile Association and them with permits as well, come in and groom all the trails and all the road access into the drill site. So trying to get 3 of them coordinated, you think it would take, obviously, it's a bigger production because everybody it's like herding cats at some point. But anyway, that's all been done. The rigs are in New Brunswick, they're up in Bathurst, and they're on site, and we're all pretty excited.
So it sounds like we got another interview to talk about all that sort of stuff.
As soon as we can, we absolutely will.
Sounds good, Gary. Let me wrap it up and we'll talk at the other end.
Thank you very much.
So I've said it before, folks, and I'll say it again. 9 Mile Metals is one of my favorite junior exploration companies, looking for, in this case, copper, gold, lead, silver, zinc. And why I say that is they're in one of the best mining camps in the world, number 3 for VMS deposits. And as you can see from Patrick's picture there, they've hit some pretty impressive looking massive sulphides. That core is just riddled with massive sulphides. And I had a little experience in my career in the most important massive sulphide camp in the world, the Iberian Pyrite Belt. And that rock that they're showing right there in their own drill core is what it looks like over on the Iberian Pyrite Belt. And most importantly, they've had very high grades and at sort of at the top of the system. And now they got to go down and find the guts of those 2 known 20 kilometers apart massive sulphide occurrences. And now they keep adding stuff. So those are the reasons why they're my favorite massive junior exploration company looking for VMS deposits. And I think they're going to have great news flow, and they have a very modest valuation. So, if that's what fits your investments, that's something you want to look at. And as I started the show by saying, this isn't investment advice, purely for information purposes only. Important for you to speak with your financial advisors to assess if this is something that fits your investment profile, and really do your homework. I think that's crucially important, and they've had a lot of news out. They're going to have more coming out, and we've also done some interviews in the past that you can find on my YouTube channel to help you do more of that homework. So on that note, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.